to make art. I find the bit of a genius plan. Beyond the rich and apprentice, hand for the eye, for the keen, for the untortured, for the honor, the carving and the common mark. Favor for the few will understand, tall with the great care for the wit unseen, for the careless crowd you go by, for the plain and the slave, and not for the solitaire. The ancient bit you can be the fine of pottery, for the too red enough for the pleaser to offer, the order, the special eye for this, so you can find and compare. There's no little to speak about. I read about in the morning for the some house and seem less than smiling. Pause for the while and go walking the broad crossing over the shadow for the scene drawn to enough for the soul and golden track. This is the mind and been somebody for the late hours of the rest. For this is only the fair for the beholder with the soft little hands you can find it crossing over your heart for the breast. Use those of the hands and lips and eyelids that were pressed enough for the kids at the high for the eyelids that were cold enough for the somebody saw it out of the sight for the editor you could be the humble then over the door through the door to somebody only to find the darkness and the blight for the order the glover the cover to the sunlight. Somebody's waking no more for the somebody's sorrow was making me weep. Not know her name for the echo her cry. I dare thee for the prophet of you go on to keep. These are little white horses who were rumbling by, and not the name for the sword, but I live in no borough, no crossing. I live in the once, no more for the back to the heart for the time. They saved her over the river through the wall, now to find out who to flow. Who's that hearse has been to? At night at my door I shall not see. It was more than a house to me. I love you with all of my being as though we knew, being as though we were, being as what we should be and all. To define for the foundation you are bent with what you can find jumping over, summarizing all of the galaxy to make a bad season. Another grace for the argument for the parish and blowing your bones, and this for the dream for the life for the it was the resolving of what you can find for the standing of the still for the seam zone for the at your door for the great value you can find that for the great paper for the you can be the one that for the sun shapeless clouds lightly compromised. Lightly compromised. We seek all those friendships after love, but who's to find that compromise for the fears? Blaze itself, burn itself to ash. Expire intensity for the own fire. Crown with the calm of peace beside the haze. After the love's let us in all, he tires his own throws and torn into the desires. This be the line, the eye, the friendship for the rest for gazing. Nothing to beg and to follow for the other cross that for the burn. For the want to be free to care for the touch of the frost of the loss of the air. For the dawn, for the hunting, for the sense of loss of you get another wish to paint back. Or the heat, or that friction in the air for the deeds of the days. It was a laugh and a little bit of no class at all for the solitude to find it dynamic. You wanted the answer to find that for the laughing the world. Laughing with you for the laugh of the world, for the open moral ball, for the laugh for the sound, for the echo, for the joy, for the pound, for the sound, for the shrinking of the voice of the care, for who can find the grief, for who can the measure of the bone underneath you. I feel like there's a place too far from you. No love shall be complete. Important to the Americans. Walk the city street pies, despise the poor. You're tolerant for the noise, room your damage, the hope and unconsciousness without your eyes remissed it was made. Without his eye, haunted glances. We were repeating the goods that you could trade in the class. Policy, but neither creed in the light. Not for the code, for the wounded proud, you let it grieve, but you will ignore those who define it word by word. You for the scorn, for the offering. You put it up, put it down, for the bone, no disdain, for the lover, for the intellectual, found in the boat. Worship for the shrine, for the rain, for the you lost, for that, for the family, for the rage. You can have that for the favorite, you can have that for the pure, for the pretty, for the player, and the stage, and enough for the band, for the natural way, the bounty, and weak self, for the hope. Lightly compromised. We seek all those friendships after love, but who's to find that compromise for the fear? Blaze itself, burn itself to ash. Expire intensity for the own fire. Crown with the calm of peace beside the haze. After the love's let us in all, he tires his own throws and torn into the desires. This be the line, the eye, the friendship for the rest for gazing. Enough for the better to follow for the other cross that for the burning. For the want to be free to care for the touch of the frost of the loss in the air. For the dawn, for the hunting, for the sense of loss, with you can another wish to paint back. Or the heat, or that friction in the air for the deeds of the days and the it was a laugh and a little bit of no class at all for the solitude you could find it demanding. You wanted the answer, you could find that for the laughing the world, laughing with you for the laugh of the world, for the open moral ball, for the laugh, for the sound, for the echo, for the joy, for the pound, for the sound, for the shrinking of the voice of the care, for who can find the grieving, for who can find the measure of the bone beneath you. Oh, I feel like there's a place too far from you. No love shall be complete. Importunity makes you walk the city street pies, despise the poor. You're tolerant for the noisy room, your garments with the hope and unconsciousness without your mind remissed it was made. Without his eye, haunted glances. We were repeating the visits that you could trade in your class. Policy we're not creating in life. Not for the code, if you're proud of you. Glad to agree with you, but ignore those who define it, rose by word. You for the scorn for the author. You put it up, put it down for the phone, understand for the lover, for the intellectual found in the boat. Worship for the shrine, for the brain, for the you lost, for that, for the family, for the rage. You can have that for the favorite, you can have that for the pure, for the pretty, for the player on the stage, and enough for the vain, for the natural way, the vaunting your weak self, for the over the pride, for the work, for the long delay, for the millennial, I can find her, beholding of the glass, and no got her. What's the word? Lightly compromised. We seek all those friendships after love, but who's to find that compromise with the fears? Blaze itself, burn itself to ash. Expire intensity for the own fire. Crown with the calm of peace with a sad haze. After the lover's letters and all, he tires his own throes and twine the torments of the desires. To just be the line, the eye, the friendship for the restful gaze. And enough for the beckon to follow for the cross that for the burner, for the one to be free to care, for the touch of the frost, for the loss of the air, for the dawn, for the hunting, for the sense of the loss, for the you could another wish to paint back. Or the heat, or that friction, and yet for the deeds of the days incomplete. It was in that for the nil, but no class at all for the solitude, but you could find it demanding on it. Only the answer you could find that for the laughing world, laughing with you for the that, for the world, for the earth, for the tomorrow, borrow, for the that, for the sound, for the echo, for the joy, for the pound, for the sound, for the shrinking of the voice of the care, for the who can find the grieving, for who the matter measure, for the only the need for you. Oh, I found you. There's a place too far from here. No love shall be incomplete. Inborn, tuned, and medicants who walk the city street pies, despise the poor. Your jewelry for the noisy room, your garments with the hoping unconsciousness without your laundry mislip is made. Your daughter's eyes and haunted glances. We were painting no visits to treat trading your class. Policy we're not creating in life. Not for the code, for the wounded proud. You're glad to agree with you, but ignore those who define it, rose by word. You for the scorn, for the author. You put it up, put it down for the bone and disdain, for the lover, for the intellectual found in the boat. Worship for the shrine, for the brain, for the you lost, for that, for the family, for the rage. You can have that for the favorite, you can have that for the pure, for the pretty, for the player on the stage, and enough for the vain, for the natural way, the vaunting your weak self, for the over the pride, for the work, for the long delay, for the millennial, I can find her, beholding of the glass, and you got earth. What's it worth? Nothing. I love the lips when they're wet with wine, with the red, with the wild desire. There's the eyes with the love light lies, lit with the passion of fire, for the love of arms, with the warm, with the white flesh, of the touch of the bite, for the found, for the embracing with your hair, for this is transcendent to the kissing of the upon the face, and not for the cold, calm kiss, for the virgin of the blood is love, for the this be the saints and the wit bliss with the heart, for the spotless of a dove, for you give me the love of the freely gifts. Laughs the whole time, world's to blame. Your body still so young and raw, with arms you set the wood for the heart of flame. This is the kiss, the sweet, for the warm, for the wet mouth. This be the fragrance of ruby wine, the safe forever born with the south, and this is the body for the soul of the mind, classic to the one for the warm with the young arms. Pale with the stars that are shining above, you give the hope of you to live away. Joy to the never living loving, you can find that for the holy hope. I am not for that for you. Sin for the solitude, for the little be the house of the friendship, best of the love, the big you can find it on for the sad, for the hope, for the earth, and with your body. I love the lips when they're wet with wine. I love the lips when they're wet with wine, with the red, with the wild desire. There's the eyes with the love light lies, lit with the passion of fire, for the love of arms, with the warm, with the white flesh, and the touch of the bite, for the found, for the embracing with your hair, for this is transcendent to the kissing of the warm face, and out for the cold, calm kiss, for the virgin of the blood is love, for this be the saints and the wit bliss, with the heart, for the spotless of the dove, and you give me the love of the pretty gifts. Laughs the whole time, rose flame. Your body's still so young and raw, but arms to set the forth for the heart of flame. I love the lips when they're wet with wine, with the red, with the wild desire. There's the eyes with the love light lies, lit with the passion of fire, for the love of arms, with the warm, with the white flesh, and the touch of the bite, for the found, for the embracing with your hair, for this is transcendent to the kissing of the warm face, and out for the cold, calm kiss, for the virgin of the blood is love, for this be the saints and the wit bliss, with the heart, for the spotless of a dove, and you give me the love of the pretty gifts. Laughs the whole time, rose flame. Your body's still so young and raw, with arms to set the forth for the heart of flame. This is the kiss, the sweet, for the warm, for the wet mouth. This be the fragrance of ruby wine, the stay forever born with the south, and this is the body for the soul of the mind, clasping to the one, for the warm, for the young arms. Pale with the stars that are shining above, who give the hope of you to live away. Joy to the living, loving, you find that for the holy hope. I am not for that. Sin for the solitude, for the little be the house of friendship, best of love, the baby, you find it Rejoice in the man that was seeking for the grief and the turn and go. Full of the measure with the pain that you can find the pleasure for the don't need of your woes. And I be glad enough for the rent and the meaning for the meaning of the sad. You lose them all for the night to decline your nectar with the wine for the hollows of the drinking, find the grind, find the feet to the hall for the credit for the world to go by. I find it's succeed to give it up to help you live. No man can help you die. Enough for the room for the hall for the pleasure for the low for the line and train. People only must feel for all five for all for the narrow arrows to take. I find out on the home street. Alright. I love the lips when they're wet with wine, with the red, with the wild desire, there's the eyes, with the love light lies. Lit with the passion of fire, with the love of arms, with the warm, with the white flesh, with the touch of the vibe, with the found for the embracing, with your hair, with this is transcendent to the kissing, with the warm, the face, and not for the cold. Calm kiss, with the virgin, with the blood is love, with this be the saint, with bliss, with the heart, with the spotters of a dove, and you give me the love of the pretty gifts. Laugh the whole time, rose and blame. Your body's still so young and raw, with arms, set the pour for the heart of flame. This is the kiss, the sweet, for the warm, for the wet mouth. This be the fragrant with the ruby wine, and stay forever born with the sound, this is the body for the soul of the mind, classic to the one, for the warm, for the young arms. Pale with the stars that shine above, we'll give the hope we'll live away. Joy to the love of living love, and you can find that for the living hope. I am not for that, for the road. For the solitude, for the living, the house of the friendship, death, the love, the living. You can find it all for the staff, for the hope, for the living. For the brother, the singing with the answer, for the still lost in the air, for the echoes of the sound, for the joyful sound, for this reading of the voice of music care. Rejoice in the man that will seek you for the grieving and the turn and go. Full of the measure for the pain that you can find the pleasure for the don't need of your woes. And I be glad enough for the rent and the meaning for the meaning of the sad. You lose them all for the none to decline your nectar with the wine for the olives who will drink and find the God and find the feet to the all for the credit for the world to go by. I find the succeed to give it up to help you live. No man can help you die. Enough for the room for the all for the pleasure for the low for the line and train. Be one with must feel for all five for all for the narrow arrows to pay. I find that on the hard straight. Alright. I love the lips when they're wet. I love the lips when they're wet with wine. I love the lips when they're wet with wine, with the red, with the wild desire, there's the eyes, with the love light lies. Lit with the passion of fire, with the love of arms, with the warm, with the white flesh, with the touch of the vibe, with the found for the embracing, with your hair, with this is transcendent to the kissing, with the warm, the face, and not for the cold. Calm kiss, with the virgin, with the blood is love, with this be the saints and the wit bliss, with the heart, with the spotters of a dove, and you give me the love of the pretty gifts. Laugh the whole time, rose and flame. Your body's still so young and raw, with arms, who set the pour for the heart of flame. This is the kiss, the sweet, for the warm, for the wet mouth. This be the fragrance of the ruby wine, to stay forever born, but the south, and this is the body for the soul of the mind, clasped to the one for the warm, for the young arms. Pale with the stars that shine above, we'll give the hope of you live away. Joy to the love of living love, and you can find that for the hope and hope. I am not for that, for will be broken. For the solitude, for the little, the house of friendship, death, and the love of the beginning. You find it all for the staff, for the oath and earth, and the by the word, for the singing, for the answer, for this is the loss of the air, for the echoes of the bound, for the joyful sound, for this reading of the voice of music care. Rejoice in the man that will seek you for the grieving and the turn to go. Full of the measure for the pain that you find the pleasure for the don't need of your words. And I be glad enough. I love the lips when they're wet with wine, with the red, with the wild desire, there's the eyes, with the love light lies. Lit with the passion of fire, with the love of arms, with the warm, with the white flesh, with the touch of the vibe, for the found for the embracing, with your hair, but this is transcendent to the kissing of the warm, the face, and not for the cold. Calm kiss, for the virgin, with the blood is love, for the with the saints and the wit bliss, with the heart, for the spotters of a dove, and you give me the love of the freely gifts. Laughs the whole time, rose and blame. Your body's still so young and raw, with arms, who set the pour for the heart of flame. This is the kiss, the sweet, for the warm, for the wet mouth. This be the fragrant with the ruby wine, to stay forever born, but the south, and this is the body for the soul of the mind, clasped to the one for the warm, with the young arms. Pale with the stars that are shining above, will give the hope of you to live away. Your joy to the love of living love, and you can find that for the other and hope. I am not for that, for will be broken. Sin for the solitude, for the little, be the house of the friendship, death, the love of the weeping, but you can find it all for the staff, for the oath and earth, and you by that brother, for the singing, for the answer, for this is the loss of the air, for the echoes of the bound, for the joyful sound, for the shrieking of the voice of who's care. Rejoice in the man that will seek you for the grieving and the turn and go. Full of the measure for the pain that you can find the pleasure for the don't need of your woes. And I be glad enough for the rent and the meaning for the meaning for the sad. You lose them all for the none to decline your nectar with the wine for the olives who drink and find the grind and find the feet to the hall for the credit for the world that go by. I find it's succeed to give it the other will help you live. No man can help you die. Enough for the room for the hall for the pleasure for the low for the line to train. Be one with me must feel for all five for all for the narrow arrows to pay. I find that on the hard strain. Alright. I love the lips when they're wet with wine, with the red, with the wild desire, there's the eyes, with the love light lies. Lit with the passion of fire, with the love of arms, with the warm, with the white flesh, with the touch of the vibe, with the found for the embracing, with your hair, with this is transcendent to the kissing of the warm, the face, and not for the cold. Calm kiss, for the virgin, with the blood is love, for the this be the saints and the wit bliss, with the heart, for the spotters of a dove. So may art I find the better with the genius plan. Beyond the reach of an apprentice hand for the eye, for the king, for the untortured, for the honor, the carving and the common mark. Favor for the few will understand, told with the great care of the word unseen. For the careless crowd you go by, for the plain and the slave, and not for the solitaire. The ancient bit you can find the pottery, for the too red enough for the pleaser to offer, the only the special eye for this one you can find and compare. There's no little to speak about. Right about for the morning for the some house and scene less than smiling. Pause for the while like you're walking the broad crossing over the shadow for the scene drawn enough for the soul and golden track. This is the mind, and been somebody for the late hours of the rest. For this is only the fair, for the beholding with the soft little hands you can find it crossing over your heart for the breast. You are those with hands, the lips, the eyelids that were pressed enough for the kiss of the heart, for the eyelids that were cold enough for the somebody saw it out of the sight, for the editor view to the humble over the door, through the door to somebody out and find that the darkness of the light, for the wood of the glow of the color of the sunlight. Somebody's waking no more, for the somebody's sorrow is making me weep. I know her name for the echo her cry. I dare thee for the broad for the good on the key. These are little white horses in my rumbling body. Not the name for the sword, but I live in no road. Crossing I live at once no more. For the back of the heart for the understood girl with the river through the wall. Now I can find out who to flow. Those I heard she's been chilling. Not at my door I shall be seen. It was more than a house to me. I don't care. Being as though we knew. Being as though we were. Should be all to define for the foundation we found. Then with what you define with jumping over. Summarizing only the galaxy to make a balance. Another grace for the argument for the parents and blowing your bones. And this for the dream, for the life, for the ables of the resolvement of what you can find. For the standing in the still, for the same zone. For the at your door, for the great value you can find that for the grand. And imperative for the to be the one and all. Running at that for the sum, find a gift for the very shapeless clouds that have only been ready. What's your thoughts to the brain, your projection to the fresh for the thirst and the fiber for the daydreams to the do with the do for the waking up of the rest of the you can find up in the valley, dissolving inside of the rain for the only the laughing at the pain for the mountains and from below. I find the groaning, I find hard to sleep and this to be the last and out the tower. And the feather for the thunder for the ever the struggling and for you can find what's fit for this. Speak the ocean, the gentleman, the emotion and to be the pattern for the God in me and line and learn by.